Hey everyone, welcome back to the VSO Gun Channel. Thank you for tuning in today. And today we're talking about ATF director. Now we know that Stevie Boy is going to be resigning as of the 18th, and we assumed that he was going to be fired before Donald Trump said he was going to be fired. So we knew that he was on his way out. Now, does that mean that the director of the ATF must be replaced? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. In fact, I would say that for most of my adult life, there has not been an appointed director of the ATF. There have been acting directors, but for the most part, the post has been empty. However, there is an opportunity to put somebody in there that can absolutely reform and, quite frankly, I hope, destroy as much of that organization from the inside as possible, is my friend Brandon Herrera. And if you agree, then sound off in the comment section down below. Let's go, Brandon. However, there is another name that has been fielded, and I saw this come up a little while ago, and I didn't really pay much mind to it because I saw the outpouring of support for Brandon, and then I've seen that name come up again. So I've dug in and done a little bit of research into this cat named Blake Masters, and here he is here. He's a Pee Wee Herman looking. Blake Masters is a businessman, a successful businessman, a considerably more successful businessman than this businessman. So I can't take anything from him on that front. And I like that he isn't a career politician. Not for lack of trying, though, because he's actually failed to become first a senator and then a congressman. And we'll come back to those here after the sponsor slot. But looking online, I would say that probably the largest disagreement that I can point to immediately is that he thinks that CrossFit's a good idea. And that leads me to believe that his judgment is severely impaired. That and more after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Excess Sights. They are my go-to source for tritium night sights. They are the sight company that I choose to put on all of my defensive guns. So they are the company that I have chosen to be looking at should I be in probably the worst situation in my life. So check them out, and I thank them for being a longtime supporter of my mission here at the VSO Gun Channel. And I know for a fact that they join me in saying goodbye and good riddance to DB. So when it comes to the Second Amendment, there is no voting record to look at with Blake Masters. So we have no record of what he will do when he is in office because he has not been in office. So we have to kind of look at the things that he has done in his private life, and I would say also on the campaign trail. So there's two things that I want to show you, really. The first is a video that he did with him with a short barrel rifle. And while the message of this video is abrasive, which I like, 100% agree with what he had to say. And I think that it shows an understanding of the Second Amendment, at least. Now, I can't actually play the audio of either of these videos because I believe that there is copyright music on those, and I'm not trying to get a DMCA strike today. The second video I want to show you is a video of him out shooting a PPK with a suppressor on the end of it. And he, in that video, basically says that this thing is cool and there's a misconception about suppressors out there. So I think that that is also a step in the right direction. So you're like, all right, Kurt, well, these all sound like good things. What's your problem with Blake Masters? Well, first of all, he's not Brandon Herrera. So there's that.
I've also committed, because I frankly find it hilarious, that if I were to be picked by the Trump administration to be the director of the ATF, I would be donating my entire salary to no-kill dog shelters. Also, I would make the ATF stop using these targets for training.
What I mean by that is that Mr. Masters comes off to me as kind of trending more towards the normie side of the house. While he has made some abrasive statements and has been pictured doing these things, he doesn't seem to me to be an activist. He seems like he would go with the flow versus Brandon
At the end of the day, it's up to the administration, but oh my God, can you imagine a world with me at the helm of the ATF? That agency would never walk right again.
We don't want somebody to head the ATF. We don't want somebody to go in there and just sit in the chair for 4 years and wield the power. We want somebody who is going to use those 4 years to gut, dismantle, and hamstring that organization so badly that it will never function in the capacity that it is currently functioning in ever again. And that person, in my opinion, is not Blake Masters. There's a lot of work to do. I think that there's a better pick out there that knows the ins and outs, is integrated with the gun industry itself, not just somebody who dabbles in it for fun, even though they may have a principled response. I want somebody who has been touched in the bad place by the ATF and has an axe to grind. That is who I want in charge of mucking about inside the inner workings. But the reason I believe that that is the case, that Blake Masters is just kind of looking for a place to sit, is because, well, his behavior speaks. As I mentioned in the intro, Mr. Masters has run for Congress twice, failing both times. The first was a 2022 Senate campaign when he was running against Mark Kelly, who is quite possibly one of the biggest losers in the Senate. Should have beat that guy. He won the primary, but then failed in the general. And to be completely fair, Brandon Herrera has also run for Congress and has failed. However, Brandon lost at the primary. What I'm trying to say is that Masters lost when the stakes were considerably bigger. It is my opinion that if had Brandon moved on to the general election, that he would have very easily won his district. But anyway, and then after the failed 2022 Senate campaign, in 2024, he ran for the House of Representatives, but failed in the primary. So he was not selected in the primary. So as you can see, the downward trend in Masters' political career, which appears to be a trend that is continuing, considering that he recently asked to be head of White House Personnel Office and was subsequently turned down. Blake Masters seems to me like somebody who wants power and is willing to take really any job as long as they can wield that power. I think that that is something that we, the American people, did not vote for. We voted for people who want to go and check power. The other side of things that I would like to wade into very briefly in closing is Mr. Masters is a Trump loyalist. And I understand that Trump wants to surround himself with people that will do what he asks them to do. However, I will again remind you that Donald Trump does not have the greatest Second Amendment record out there.
To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
Do I want somebody as head of the ATF that will do what the president asks him, regardless whether or not that will be constitutional or not? That sort of somebody in that position makes me uncomfortable versus somebody that I know wants to go to that position for the purpose of eliminating that position. I think that that's the better pick. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Sound off in the comment section down below. And of course, join me in putting this video out everywhere that we can possibly put it. So hopefully the right people see that and make the decision accordingly.